All right, my dowsing buddies, we're back. I didn't mean to leave for so many weeks. For those of you who have followed me for a little while, you know that I've taken a bit of a break. I think it's been about a month. I didn't intend to take a month-long break. I intended to take like a 10-day break to visit some family. And then Mercury was in retrograde in Pisces. And then my life just got a little, I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it, but we're back and we're feeling it again. So here we are, we just did our energy exchange and we found out that the energy we would benefit from releasing today was that of unworthiness. And I really like this because if I'm being frank, part of the reason that I think I felt maybe a little uninspired to record these videos was my own issues dealing with some sense of unworthiness, this sense of who do you think you are anyway, this sense of why do you think you show up every day to give advice to people when your own life is imperfect and you are imperfect and you have your own issues, and so who do you think you are? And so this is obviously perfect, as all of these clearings I feel like are always perfect in their own way, not because I'm doing them, but because the universe in its own way is perfect, even when it doesn't feel that way, even when it doesn't make sense. And so how lovely that this is what came up, and I hope that this ends up being helpful for you as well, as I know it will be for me, because these clearings always serve me and my highest good, and my sincerest hope is that they serve your highest good as well. So let's dive into it. So for those of you who don't know what this is dowsing. Dowsing you have seen on the internet, oftentimes with the folks that use the dowsing rods to get your yeses or your nos. Sometimes once in a while you'll stumble on some folks doing videos with a pendulum. Oftentimes it's a longer pendulum hanging off of sort of a pendulum holder, and there's a yes or a no or a maybe. There's a few different versions of dowsing. Well, there's lots of different versions of dowsing, but a few that you'll see online. But it's not super common. It's not a super common practice. It's really about tapping into your intuition, the higher version of you, the version of you that is not blocked by conscious mind programming, the things that kind of keep us contained in the self. It's the part of us that is able to experience and access the other, access the all that is, access knowledge and truth and wisdom beyond our own sort of container. So that's what we're doing here today. Before I get started, I always prep to work. I say Spirit and the collective and I are one. We work together as a team, and we're all asking to be neutral. We're taking our ego out of this. We're taking our judgments out of this. We're taking our own experiences out of this, and we're just showing up as conduits of information, conduits of source, with again this intent to be helpful, to reveal something, to share something that might benefit the collective, the greater good, and of course obviously ourselves, because what clears me clears you, what heals you heals me. We're all in this together. So let's get started. We found out again that the root of the issue here today, the energy that we would benefit from releasing, was unworthiness. And the new energy we could call in was reverence. And I immediately feel like this reverence for the self, this reverence to be like, I am worthy of being honored. I am worthy of being revered, even in the light of my insecurities, even in the light of my weaknesses. I deserve to be revered. So let's look at what is the root cause of this unworthiness and what might be blocking us to this feeling of reverence for ourselves. And are we even open to that reverence at all? So let's get started looking at the root. So we go to our first chart. This is called chart 1. It is our index. It is our guide. It tells us where we go next. Then once we get there, then we start to watch the story unfold. So let's get started. So what is the root of this unworthiness story? Well, surprise, surprise, it's taking us back to that first chart, that chart where unworthiness came up. This is our negative energies chart. So the root of this unworthiness is bound up in ego. It's bound up in ego. Our ego is the thing that doesn't think that we're worthy. Our ego is the thing that's telling us we're a POS, that we don't deserve anything, that we're no good, that we're awful, that we're bad, that we're terrible. And so it isn't our true selves, our true souls, our true spirit. The truest version of ourselves, the spiritual version of ourselves, recognizes our own beauty, recognizes that we are divine, that we are beautiful, that we are whole, that we are perfect as we are. And it is this external facing self, right? The self, not the spirit, but the self that has to show up every day out there in the world, that is telling us that we are unworthy, that has convinced us that we are unworthy. And oftentimes when we have an ego that thinks that we are unworthy, we will behave in the way that the ego is telling us we are. So if your ego is identifying as bad and terrible, you will show up as bad and terrible. You will be motivated and inspired and fueled to be bad and terrible, because that is what your ego has told you. Your ego identifies as bad and terrible and unworthy, and you will manifest bad, terrible, unworthy things into your life. It will show up in that way. Are there exceptions to these rules? Yes, always. You know, can you maybe have a deep-seated belief that you're unworthy and still try to be a good person? Sure. But I just think that you're not going to have as much success in showing up and acting in a state of worthiness when your ego believes that you are unworthy. So what can we do? What can we do to clear this ego, our sense of ego, out of the way? And can we get our ego to a place of neutrality where our ego, we don't want our ego to now suddenly think that we are so wonderful and perfect and fabulous, and then now we're getting, you know, an inflated ego. But we also don't want to be in this energy of, you know, this energy of unworthiness either. So let's go. The next question is, what do we do to clear our ego? What do we do to neutralize our ego? What belief do we need to release? What is going on here that might be influencing our ego in this way to be out of balance? So now we're going to go to chart B. We are blocked to something. Our ego is blocked to what? What is our ego blocked to? Our ego is blocked to self-control. Ooh, okay. So you're feeling bad about yourself because you've been struggling with your self-control. Maybe you're having addictive patterns, looping thoughts, again, behaviors and actions that are not feeling like your truest, best self, and it's making you feel unworthy. You do not feel good because of your lack of self-control. So releasing all of us now from the struggles we've had with self-control, anything that has been getting in the way of us having full authority of our own willpower. Right? When we're struggling with self-control, we don't have full authority over our willpower. There's something getting in the way of you being able to face your desires, face those influences, face those traumas, those patterns, those loopings that we get stuck in, and be able to say, no, I'm not going to act in that way. I am not going to be influenced by this thing. I am going to have control over myself so that I can make good choices. So I can treat people well, whatever the case may be. So then the next question is, how do we bring ourselves into a place of full authority over our self-control? What do we need to know? What do we need to hear? What is the message as it relates to our ability to gain control over ourselves? We're going to Grandma's Good Advice chart, how to change your life. We love that. Thanks, Grandma. Giving. What are we giving? Oh, interesting. So is it a lack? Giving what? Okay, I'm gonna dive into this a little bit more. So the message is giving. What do we got to give? Is it a lack of giving? Is it giving too much? So I'm going to see if we can find anything in particular here that can continue to build upon this message, build upon this story. Interesting. Wow, the energy of violence just came up. Have we been on the receiving end of too much violence, and that has influenced our ability to control ourselves? And what kind of violence? You know, it's like, is it the violence of, you know, violence is so interesting because I think we automatically think of physical violence, but it doesn't have to be physical violence. You know, we can enact emotional violence upon others and upon ourselves. We can have psychological violence enacted against us. We could have absorbed the violent energy of others, whether or not that we intended to or not. It could be an exposure to too much violence. And so we're just calling for the energy of violence to be released from all of us now, and any negative influence it's had upon our self-control to be released from that as well. You know, that's an unexpected thing to have come up. These are, you know, it's always unexpected, I guess. Although sometimes there's sort of a logic to it where I get a message and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. And then other times it's like, I don't fully understand, I don't fully see, but I trust and I believe that by asking and by setting the intention that we're going to ask for the energy of violence to be released for all of us in the collective now, at least to a level where we can then gain back a little bit of our self-control. It's contagious. It's a contagion, you know, and that's the thing that's coming to me right now. It's like we are having a difficult time accessing our self-control because of the contagion that is violence. You know, I'm thinking about the influence that violent language on the internet has. And this goes to both sides. And this is something that I've really had to come to terms with lately as I am struggling to identify with the political party that I used to identify with a lot. And part of my difficulty in identifying with the political party that I used to identify with is that my political party, who I believe used to be all about peace and love, is now reflecting and speaking violently about the other in a way that does not relate. I do not relate anymore, you know? And so, you know, I'm thinking about, you know, it's interesting what's coming up for me right now too is almost like our own sense of the other also as unworthy. I am seeing some things online, some judgments and some criticisms and some expressions of violence towards the other that makes me think that, you know, a lot of people right now, I would say most people right now, are having violent, sort of aggressive feelings about the other and deeming the other as unworthy because of what they believe, think, or feel. Instead of coming from a place of curiosity and compassion to understand the other and try to find balance with the other and a common ground with the other, we are coming at the other with a sense of violence, a sense of, I am more worthy than you because of what I think, feel, and believe. And, you know, in our own way, whether we realize it or not, we are blocking our own worthiness when we lower the worthiness of other people. We are lowering the collective sense of worthiness when we doubt the worthiness of the other. You cannot evaluate someone else as unworthy and not have that unintentionally boomerang back onto yourself, whether you know it or not, I could be wrong. And this is part of my problem with like posting these videos lately, right? It's like, how wrong am I? You know, how willing to put stuff out on the internet am I if I don't know with 100% certainty how right I am? But what my heart tells me is that, you know, we as souls, right? Not as humans, but as souls are all equally worthy. And when we judge others as unworthy, it lowers our own sense of our own worth. Even if we think in our ego that we are so worthy because we are better than other people, it's actually having sort of internally on a soul level, on a spiritual level, it's having the opposite effect. And I think I'm getting a little off track here from what the message was a little bit before, but this is how it's coming out now. So that's what we're going to go with. So, you know, we're releasing all of us right now, again, from that energy of violence, and it's easy to pick that up whether you mean to or not right now. It is in the collective. You know, we are in, you know, the depths of some pretty clear violence that we're all seeing and hearing about online right now. And so, again, whether we know it or not, that's influencing us. And so we're releasing all of us from the influence of that actual violence, as well as from any violent thoughts, feelings, emotions, attitudes that we've all come in contact with at certain points in our lives that have made us feel unworthy or have made us feel like it is our duty and our obligation to judge the worthiness of others. And here we go. I mean, this is the message that right now is like alarm bells going off in my head. It's like reverence, right? This is the energy we're supposed to be calling in, reverence for all life, not just your own, not just the lives of, you know, the people who agree with you and the people who are like you, but the reverence for all lives, even the quote unquote bad ones, even the ones that you deem as wrong or bad, but to revere all of life. To revere all of life as worthy is what I'm asking for all of us to be able to tap into and access right now in this moment and moving forward into all moments, giving all of us access to the understanding and the acceptance that all of life is. We should have reverence for all of life. And this is this innate sense that I feel, when I see violence, not only violence towards other humans, but violence towards animals, violence towards, whatever the case may be, is that when that violence has a root of a lack of reverence for life, it can become really problematic. So I don't know why this is coming up today. Was not expecting that this would be the message as it relates to worthiness, right? I would think like, oh, self-hate or self-destruction or whatever. And really the message that I'm getting is like, this is so much bigger than any of us as individual selves. This is about us as a collective, not revering each other enough, not revering life enough. And thus, whether you know it or not, that loops back around into you in your individual life and your own sense of worthiness and reverence. So let's see, is there anything else we can do right now as it relates to this unworthiness? And I'm getting a no. So now we're going to look at blocks to reverence. Okay, so we kind of tackled that first piece of this, which is that unworthiness piece. Now we're going to look at what percent are we blocked to our own worthiness. 100% blocked to worthiness. What percent are we blocked to, oh, I did that wrong. Sorry. Although I'm sure that's true. Let's look at reverence. So what percent are we open to the reverence for life? 0%. What percent are we open to the reverence of others? 0%. What percent are we open to the reverence for ourselves? 0%. So we're not open to reverence right now at all. So what do we got to do to open ourselves up to reverence, to be able to experience the energy of reverence, true reverence for ourselves and others? What do we need to do here? Okay. So we are going to look at imbalance of the etheric body at the one level. We're asking to bring all of our etheric bodies back into balance. And again, when we are exposed to all this violence, when we're exposed to all this energy of unworthiness, then our energetic body gets messed up. Our energetic body, that etheric body, that body right outside of our own, gets skewed, it gets out of whack. And so we're asking for balance and harmony for all of our etheric bodies, for all people across all time, across all creation. Okay, so we're going to chart 8B. What else is going on here as it relates to our lack of openness to reverence, self-destruction? We're in the energy of self-destruction, so we're going to clear self-destruction and everything that builds into self-destruction. And this is the energy of self-limitation, self-punishment, depression, addiction, injustice, frustration, fear of life, guilt, helplessness, illness, and health abuse. All of the things that lead us into self-destruction. We're asking for that to be cleared now. We don't have to dive in. We don't have to look at it. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it. But you can say right now, if you'd like to, I release myself from the energy of self-destruction and every energy that built me into this vibe of self-destruction. So you want to say that if that feels good to you. You can say it out loud, or you can just be like, yes, I claim it. Sounds wonderful. So chart 21, what else is going on here as it relates to our lack of openness, our desire to suffer? We desire to suffer in our own way. This is a human nature thing, right? This is part of the separation from one, separation from God, separation from consciousness, separation from all that is. We have this desire to suffer. I don't understand it. I don't know why. I wish I did. I probably will when I die, hopefully, and I go back into the collective. Whoops, I go back into the collective, and maybe I can have understanding about why we desire to suffer, but we do. And so we're just asking to neutralize that desire and to instill in all of us a new desire. So what is the new desire that we can call in the place of this desire to suffer? Caring. Oh, a desire for caring. I love that so much. Can we just care for one another, please, and for ourselves? Thoughtfulness, a desire for thoughtfulness, a desire for caring, a desire for self-esteem, a desire for harmony. Oof, amen. Whew, so if you'd like, we can think about that for a moment. Just take a breath, take a second, take a moment of meditation and call those energies in for yourself now. I open myself up to harmony. I open myself up to caring. I open myself up to self-esteem. And then let out a good exhale. And in that process, I release myself from this desire to suffer. I get it. It's a program. I'm kind of built into it. We're humans. It's part of the deal. And asking to be released from any of it, purposely, intentionally setting your mind on releasing yourself from it would be amazing. So now what percent are we open to reverence for the other? 100%. What percent are we open to reverence to ourselves? Only at 50%. So let's look at this little last bit and then we'll let you all go. So we're going to go to 6D. 6D is dysfunctional relationship with God. We're looking at this mistrust of God. Because God said, revere life, reveal all of my children. All of my children are divine beings, divine expressions of self, of God. And I want you to, treat your brother as you would like to be treated. I want you to love one another as you would love yourself. I want you to revere all of life. But we don't trust God. We don't trust that message. So we don't do it. We fight against it. Because we are so tapped into human understanding, human desires, human emotions, human psychology, all of our archetypes, all of our, little different complexity of ego. So releasing ourselves from the mistrust of God now, and we release ourselves from this worry that God is leading us astray, that if we believe in God, if we believe in the message, that we will somehow be foolish or led astray. Let out a good exhale, and you can say out loud, I trust God. Whatever that means for you, it doesn't have to be capital G-O-D. We talk about this sometimes. This could be whatever your God is, whatever your divinity is. I trust in myself. That's a big one too. If you truly can trust in self, like trust in the core of who you are, instead of trusting in the external messages or the trauma or the things that you've been told you're supposed to believe, and just tap into the truth of the core of all of us as spirits. Can you also then trust in the reverence of all and the reverence of yourself? Because that's what we're looking at here, right? I can revere myself. Can you say that right now? I love and revere myself and see myself as worthy. I love myself. I revere myself and see myself as worthy. Past, present, and future, now and always. And I release myself from any contract, vow, agreement, addiction, attraction I have ever had to unworthiness, to distrusting God, to distrusting myself, and not having reverence for myself and others. So now what percent are we open to revering ourselves? 100%. What percent are we blocked to revering ourselves? 0%. What percent are we blocked to revering others? 0%. So that's fantastic. So now what do? We find our replacement energies. So we go back to our chart 6B. This is called spiritual response technique. What are our new energies that we're calling in today? We're calling in self-esteem. We're calling in kindness. We're calling in gratitude. Let's find ourselves back here in this very present moment, softening into the right here and the right now, releasing yourself from any icky feelings that came up during this clearing, releasing ourselves from the energy of violence, from thoughts of violence, from feelings of violence towards ourselves and others, and from this energy, this heavy, heavy energy of unworthiness, welcoming in kindness, self-esteem, love, compassion for ourselves and for others. Doing 100% of 100% of mop up, clearing, releasing all of us from anything that is not serving our highest good here and now. All right, everybody. I was about to say it was good to see you again, but I'm not seeing you. You're seeing me. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time on another episode of Clearing with Kate.